Welcome to Rhythm of Love, the podcast. I'm Clarence.
And I'm Yolanda. We celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary by writing a book together about what it took to get us here.
And in this podcast, we go deeper and break down what we learned along the way. We hope you enjoy and engage.
Comment, share, and subscribe. We'd love to hear what you have to say about what it takes to make relationships last.
Yes, we will.
Welcome, everyone, to another installation of Rhythm of Love, the podcast.
Welcome.
Or as my wife says, the podcast. She has a little
I have a little sing-song
way that she says it, which is our friend.
I have a sing-songy type of way of saying most things.
Yes, very sing-songy. So we're here for week 11, or episode 11.
Yes.
We still haven't 100% decided how long this season is going to go, but we'll go until we can't go no more. How about that? We just go until...
Is that how we handle most things? We just go until we can't go
we can't go no more. So, let's get into like our early stuff. You know, this podcast is based off of a book that we wrote called Rhythm of Love, 25 Things That 25 Years of Marriage Has Told Us. So please make sure you get a chance to go to our website at cyllentertainment.com and pick up a copy, or if you want to pick a copy up on Amazon or anywhere you do your book shopping.
Ebook provider, audio book provider.
All those places, we are there.
It's a really easy read. It's kind of like a series of blog posts.
Yes, that's a perfect description of it. That's an absolute perfect description of it.
If anybody is not a big reader,
right,
that might help them to know.
It might help them to know, right? So we will finish tallying the results of. By the time this show comes out, it'll be July. So we will finish tallying the votes, and by episode 12, we'll announce the winners of the contest for the Javonda Robinson book package, which included Onyx Desires, her latest book, which is Onyx Desires, which is right here, and all of these various stories and very what should I say?
It's got all the things. It's got action. It's got intrigue.
Yes.
It's got Black people and it's got gangsters.
Yes.
It's got
sexy parts. That's the part she kind of leaving out that part. So you gotta be ready for that.
Check her out at authorjavondarobinson.com.
Right. She has a program that she's running called From Thinking to Inking.
To Inking, yes.
Where she helps other writers get their words and their vision out
into the world.
Yep. All right. So cool. All right. So we still are really working through whether or not how we're going to format this thing. It kind of changes based on how we're feeling. We're very emotional people apparently, and I didn't even know it. So, but this week,
tell you that we were really emotional people.
Yeah, it's a super. I mean, not I guess Yolanda's more emotional than me. I'm not. My mother just told me today I wasn't super.
No, you are not super emotional in any way.
But that doesn't mean I don't feel it. It's all in here though.
Yes, you might want to let some of that out.
Can't let it out. Can't let it out. Can't let it out.
Okay.
It's too much damage.
It would cause too much damage to let it out?
Yeah.
Wow. What kind of feelings you have?
Strong feelings. Just because you've always told me still waters run deep.
That's your phrase, but yes.
It was Trevor's phrase is what it was. It was Trevor Donaldson's phrase. It wasn't mine.
I mean, I think it's a song actually, or a scripture. I don't know.
I'm not sure. If you know what it is, let us know.
Still waters run deep.
I think that is
yes.
Is that Aretha Franklin?
Isn't it?
It might be Aretha Franklin. You blowing up? Who? This happens all the time in the middle of the night, and you heard me say her side dude is just texting. I hope this is
trying to ruin our podcast.
It's just what it is. All right. But this week, we think we got a solid topic this week because lots of stuff has happened around this, and we think that we can we can discuss it because I think it's very apropos for people who are moving into relationships.
Yeah, I want you to take the lead on this.
I'm taking the lead on this. Okay, the lead on this is this week we're going to discuss how to have or some tips. We'll call it some tips for having effective relationship with your in-laws. Yes. Right. Effective relationships with your in-laws. So I'm not sure if I'm going to put a graphic up on this, but I might. We have what I would consider, I don't know if it is or if it isn't, but it feels fairly complicated to me about our in-laws structure. You know, the people who are involved.
And it's gotten a little more complicated as life has gone on.
Correct. So I'll go down my quick lineage, and then I will go down, and I'll let you go down your lineage. You can kind of say the things you want to say. Okay. So my parents got married, had me, and then divorced when I was about 3. And then my dad got married again when I was about 7. And my mom, I was living with my mom from 3 to 7. And then she sent me to live with my dad, who I lived with. I actually moved into his house on the day he got married. I don't know if I ever told you that.
Well, okay.
So, yeah, the day they got married is the day I moved in.
They came home,
We came home, they had bought a new house, they had bought a house, and...
So they came home to a new house when they got married?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet. That sounds just like your father to have that all set up. New home, new son, new marriage. That's a lot.
A very short
first thing.
I mean, yes, you're right. So,
but it's good. I'm not a lot in a bad way, just a lot.
So then, years later, my mom gets married. Also,
by this time you are like
19, 20. I'm right around there. But she gets married. So I have 2 sets of parents. And for Yolanda, that means 2 sets of in-laws that she had to manage.
To just learn about and interact with.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So your side.
For my side, when Clarence and I met, my parents were going strong. They got married when, I don't know, I was about 7 as well, or maybe a little older. Have to do the math, but then my father passed away right after our 15th wedding anniversary. And then my mom remarried.
Correct.
10 years ago.
Right.
So my story is a little short.
Your story is a little shorter. My story is the more complicated one. The important thing is she has to deal with and contest with and manage and work through and understand and engage with 2 sets of parents from me. 2 sets of in-laws, and I have 1 set from her side.
Yes. Yes.
And our sides couldn't be any different.
No.
Couldn't be any more different. That's the word.
Any more different. They are Black, and they currently live in Maryland. That's where the
similarities end.
Similarities. They love us.
That's where the similarities
But the similarities in there. You grew up in a house full of boys.
You grew up in a house full of girls.
In a house full of girls.
Right.
My poor dad.
Poor dad. So let's start with some high level points, and we'll just I think I only had 3.
Okay.
It's 3 points. So the first thing that you have to do, in my opinion, in order to really be in good relationship with your in-laws is you have to establish your boundaries. What are you going to be the boundaries that are going to be between you and them? You know, I always treated your parents with the utmost of respect.
And vice versa.
Primarily because we were just raised that way. Right. It had nothing, you have respect for people, your elders and the adults in your family. But your mom, who I adore, even though I don't say it to her often enough, I absolutely adore her.
You had a chance to say it to her today.
I did, and I certainly did. I did not. Happy birthday.
My mama's birthday today.
This will be out on Tuesday, but we're recording this on her birthday, which was Saturday.
Recording, yeah.
So, but you have to figure out what your rapport is going to be, and you have to understand what your boundaries are going to be.
Right.
So I tell this story all the time because it's just the truth. When Yolanda and I were dating in college,
mm-hmm.
and
he was practically living in my apartment.
It wasn't even practically. I mean, I didn't have no other place to live, so I was living there. So, but I was going to work every day, and this is not even the second place. This is the first place. Her mom called, and they were out. Oh, me and my friend were going to cook dinner for them. So her mom called. I was in the apartment cooking dinner. I answered the phone.
He answered my phone, y'all. First offense.
Yeah, I answered the phone, and her mom said,
"It was like, I live here.
I have a question for you." And I was like, "Okay." First, I told her mom, they're not here. They'll be back soon. And her mom says, "Oh, no problem. But since I got you on the phone, I have a question for you." I said, "Okay, what's your question?" And she said, Yolanda was raised religious in a religious environment where we don't have sex before we get married. How are you handling that?
Yes, this is the type of thing my mom would do. It'll be said in the sweetest manner possible, but it's habitual lie stepping.
So my response was, you're going to have to talk to her. This is not a question that you should be asking me. This is a question you should be asking her. So people have said that I didn't defend her well. I should have said something, more covering of her. I was like, listen.
He just wanted out.
I don't want to talk about this.
I don't want to be a part of this at all.
I don't want to talk about this. So that was when I knew. That was the first instance of many instances that happened. There's several of them.
Habitual
where I understood once we got married that your mother was going to treat me as a peer.
Okay.
So our lines were going to be very adult to adult, not necessarily, younger person to older person, because she asking questions that as an older person, she probably should never ask me.
Is that the way you see it?
So she creates an environment to me. So she created an environment that said,
maybe not that particular question, but other questions.
That was the first one.
Yeah.
There was several others after that. So
yeah, my mother has, if she has a question or a statement to make, 9 times out of 10, she's going to make it.
Right.
But like I said, in the sweetest way possible, she puts all the icing on that cake. But
I mean,
it's still.
I mean, even
sour milk.
Even after we got married one time, we were at their house, at a room in the basement in their house. We were married. We weren't living there. We were just visiting for the weekend.
Visiting home for the weekend, and they have a place that we could
sleep. And Yolanda's sisters, who were significantly younger at the time, were hanging out with us. And her mom says to me, "Come on, guys, y'all can go. Let's go on upstairs because they need some private time."
Uh-huh.
And my response to her was, "Why you think? First of all, we don't live here, so we have our own place. So why don't you think that we can have?
We would just come and hang out
have private time in your house."
Right.
So that's when I knew. When she started making statements like that, listen, we are even Steven.
She was looking out.
I'm still speaking to her respectfully.
Yes.
But I know no topic is off limits.
Right. No topic, no question.
Right. No topic, no question. It's off limits. I'm going to tell y'all a great story. I mean, these are all just tremendous stories because, the in-law stuff is some of the best stuff that you can have. So we're at Yolanda's parents' house, and I say, I'm talking about a friend of mine who could potentially be having an affair on his wife. And I am not happy about it, but I'm talking to them to say, I can't, what do you think about this? And how do you feel about this? And Yolanda's father utters these words. And at this point, I'm
nowhere near this.
Yolanda's not even there. It's just me. It's just me and them and your mom and your dad. And Yolanda's dad utters these words to say, I can't believe that a man would throw away his whole marriage over 7 seconds of pleasure. You heard him say this before.
I've heard him say it from the pulpit.
For 7 seconds of pleasure.
Yes.
And now at that point, I was going to let it go. I had nothing else to really say. What was there to say? But her mother chimes in and says, oh, it's longer than that. Oh, my God. Now this is getting good. This is getting good now. Oh, it's longer than that. And I was like, okay. So I slide to the back of the ring and just listen to this interaction, this exchange. And he says, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the orgasm. And then I have gone from disappointed to impressed very quickly.
First you felt bad for my mom, but then you're like, well, hey, you can't complain.
I mean, my goodness. So, but these are the kind of conversations that end up happening with me and my in-laws. So we have established our boundaries. Tell me about some of your boundaries that you may have established with mine.
I think that I just want to shout out my in-laws and say that I had, even before we got married, they have all done their best to treat me really well. I have no complaints about the relationships that I had with my in-laws and the lines that have been drawn. But your natural mom is the funniest of them all. Because
she lives with us now.
Yes, she lives with us now. But she always says, I do my best not to cross the line, in terms of like telling us what to do, especially after we had kids, or if Clarence would come to them with issues or just want to vent to them, they would stay out of it. They would listen. They would try to be as objective as they could. So I didn't even have to draw that line. That was something that they decided on their own, to quote unquote mind their business. But one of the first interactions that I had with your natural mom was her commenting on my booty and the shape or the width or I didn't even get into it at all, but she had words. And I was like, oh, okay. Same with you, where it's like, so these are the types of things that we say to each other. All right then. So we weren't even married at that point. So I'm like, I have no comeback for that one. Just thank you, I guess. I'm not sure. Yeah. And one other kind of difference between the three families would occur around Christmas time.
Okay.
Which took me a lot of getting used to. I have a small family, and both of my parents come from small families. And so Christmas is a very intimate and simple affair. It's, the Christmas tree goes up. Over time, you see presents. When you're a kid, the presents are hidden and you find the present. You try to find the presents. Everybody got like 1, 2, 3 gifts. And usually, Christmas is very simple. But when I came into your family,
I have a huge family.
Yes.
My family's huge.
First of all.
So my dad has 7 brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
My mom has 8 brothers and sisters. My stepmom has 9 brothers and sisters, and my stepfather had 8 or 9 brothers and sisters. So I got a huge
it's just family coming out the wazoo. So, and a lot of them live right here in the DMV where we live. So, Christmas, Thanksgiving, they all get together. It's huge. There are kids everywhere. There are presents flying left and right. You come there and, half of the floor around the Christmas tree is taken up with just presents upon presents. And I think the first time...
I didn't know this. I didn't know. I didn't...
Oh, you didn't think about how... Yeah, it was a little bit overwhelming for me.
I can see that.
So, I would just settle in, pick my seat, and just stay there and just watch all the action around me. Everybody buys everybody a gift. It's a lot. And I think the first Christmas I was there at your house, I want to say we weren't married then either.
I'm not. I wouldn't say. I don't know. Christmas Day?
Well, not Christmas Day, obviously. It might have been Christmas Day. So here's the thing. They have this, his dad and his stepmom, just to be clear, have a Christmas Eve tradition.
Sure.
So you guys would go shopping on Christmas Eve to Marley Mall and together as a family. This was just the immediate family, and maybe some cousins would likely show up as well.
It's a couple of days before Christmas, but that's fine.
Oh, okay. It wasn't Christmas Eve when the shopping would happen. I feel like it would be Christmas Eve when shopping was still taking place. But okay, but shopping might have been still taking place, but it might not have been a group of us.
That's my father. That's not everybody else. That's just my father who's the last minute shopper.
Yes, but there would be an outing to a mall, to the same mall every year. We go there. We just enjoy each other as a family. And then on Christmas Eve, that's when people would get to open their gifts on Christmas Eve. And there would be activities and dinner and all of these things. And I think maybe the very first time I spent Christmas, either Eve or day, with them, they might have felt bad that they didn't have something for me.
And if they feel bad this year, the next year you're gonna be overwhelmed.
Right.
You're gonna be overcome.
The first year, I think they just pulled something out. Like, we gotta give her something. We can't not give her anything, which would have been fine with me. I wasn't part of the family. There was no expectation whatsoever. But, when you open your gift, all the attention is on you. That's the other thing. Like, it's a whole production. Somebody plays Santa and gives out one gift at a time, and you open it and you have your chance to say your spiel, say your thank you to whoever brought it for you. And I open up the gift, and it's a lapel pin shaped like a pig, with a little red, rhinestone or something on there. It was gold. It was sparkly. It was small, but it was shaped like a pig. And here I am on the spot, like, it's a big pin, like, I don't know how to react to this. I had to just put on the fake face, like, oh, wow, okay. Thank you, So I never forget that pig pen. I might even still have it in a trinket drawer around here, but I was just like, a pig pen, and all the attention is on me, and I'm supposed to say my big thank yous and how I feel about this pen. So I wanted to be like, where did y'all get this from? Is this, you saying I'm fat? Like, what is the deal? In terms of boundaries, I have never felt that I had to lay down any boundaries with them, really. They have been welcoming and also, keeping me at a safe distance in terms of, no one's overbearing, no one's trying to tell me what to do or how to treat my son. You're not good enough for my son, any of those things. So
that's actually a perfect segue into what I think is number 2, which is it's almost 2 and 2A.
Okay.
Or 2A and 2B. That's
okay.
almost what it is. So 2A is as the spouse, not as the child. I'm sorry, as the child, not as the spouse.
Okay.
You have to allow space for the development of the relationship between your spouse and your parents and your family, for lack of a better term. So that's 2A. But 2B is you have to be willing to step in at any time to defend your spouse and to check your family.
Yes. And if you have one of those, moms, or you have family members who think they can speak any kind of way to your spouse, then you cannot sit idly by. And it's not a matter of respect, or I have to respect my parents so much that I can't say anything, because the roles have changed. You're no longer the child, quote unquote. You are, a person who has pledged your life to someone else. So now your allegiances and everything, your allyship is with that person. And that may mean you have to draw lines and not allow parents to visit under certain circumstances, or call visits short when someone steps out of line. And that's got to be your role.
And you have to be open to the feedback that your spouse is giving you about what's going on, because you're not always there and you're not always attuned to those things.
Yeah, and you can't be, that's just how they are.
Right, can't be like
it's that. If your spouse is not used to those type of interactions, then you either need to be removing them or having a talk with your family.
But it doesn't mean you can't encourage your spouse to also have some flexibility with those things.
True. And you gotta extend some grace.
You got to have that conversation.
Yes. Because all of these things are true.
Because one half of my family is like the Clumps, and you heard. I've said this before. That dining room table scene in the Clumps. In the Nutty Professor, where they are cussing each other out, and you walk over here, but you'll limp back kind of things. I told Yolanda when we were watching that.
Come on.
I told Yolanda when we were watching that, I said, that is my family right there on screen. I have been that little chubby boy sitting at the dinner table. Hercules. That was me. I was the boy. I was the little boy. Sitting at the dining room table, and they fighting. They going hard at the table, and so that is my family. So what I tell Yolanda, is they may come up with a nickname for you.
Yes,
they may, joke with you in a abrasive kind of way. If you ever feel that there's an issue, just let me know, and I will step in for you.
Right.
But much to our surprise, they love her, so it never happened.
Hey, I wasn't surprised at all.
You
might have been surprised.
I was surprised because not everybody who came in got all that love. So not everybody who came in got all that love. So you just don't know. But
my angels were in full force.
You didn't have no problem. From my grandmother all the way down, who thought you was just a wonderful girl and all these things all the way down.
I know how to endear the people to me.
So it worked out for you,
I never had the experience. I wanted an experience, a Clumps table experience.
You don't want a Clumps table experience.
It never happened. Everybody was on their best behavior around me. The worst thing I got talked about was my butt.
Yeah. You might have also got them on the backside, you know.
Yeah.
I got them young. I got them young.
They were young and full of fire at that point.
Yeah, you might have got them on the backside.
But I'll just say this as an aside. Meeting your family really explained some things about you.
Oh.
Like your kind of rough and gruffness. Almost rough and gruff is not the words. It's more like just to the point, blunt, no cut cards. It's how, this is not a complaint at all, but that's how I met you. And when I met your family, it was so many times in my mind, just over the years of having different conversations with them and hearing their responses to different things, I was like, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense.
And I'm the softy. I'm one of the softest people in our family.
You're a Maryland boy.
I'm a Maryland boy. They from DC. I'm a Maryland boy. So they treat me like, you live out in the sun. You got grass in front of your house.
Right.
So we don't even really talk to you like that. So
you probably can't handle what we bring in.
So yes, so I hear what you're saying. I was a Maryland boy.
It was still more like my family is more of kind of a lovey-dovey family, especially my mom, especially just growing up with sisters. Feelings get hurt easily, and so we were, much more careful with each other. Once we got older out of childhood. So this is new for me.
So let's define how small Yolanda's family is, because that really puts some context. So Yolanda's mom is an only child.
Yes.
And then Yolanda's father is the one of two. So Yolanda just has an aunt. That's all she has in her family.
And I have, of course there are great aunts because their parents had multiple siblings. But after a while, I just wasn't around that part of my family very much.
Right.
So I was just used to the very few. And my aunt, I have four cousins.
4 cousins. She got 4 cousins. My brother has 4 kids. I mean, so she got 4 cousins.
Yes, 4 cousins.
I mean, that's why your Thanksgivings are small. I mean, your Christmases are, you can have everybody.
Everybody there and still wouldn't touch your holidays.
We go for Christmas. We would go to 3 houses. And our last household would be your parents.
My parents.
We would go here for, spend the night here, spend the whole day here, and then end up here.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. I always called it our hobo holidays.
It was hobo holidays.
Especially once we had our daughter, then it was like everybody want to see her.
Right.
And you know how it is when babies are babies. You got to carry a playpen and a stroller and umpteen Pampers and changes of clothes. That was hobo Christmas like a mug. I don't know how I survived.
We changed that now. We've grown now.
Yes, we had to change over time, but yeah.
So the last point that we had define your boundaries. We had space to develop your relationships, and we had be protective of your spouse.
Yes.
So that's all I wrote down. Those are some basic tenets for creating positive interactions between your spouse, and not, and to use Yolanda's father's phrase, and not make your in-laws
your outlaws. That's one of his favorite things to say.
Not make your in-laws your outlaws. So I really think that these helped us over the years.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't define them. I didn't come up with this list when I got it.
When we're going through it. Right.
It was trial and error.
Looking back, you say,
I mean, because we know some people who have some tough times and some tough way to go with their in-laws.
Yes. And sometimes it's not even on you.
Right.
In terms of, can you set boundaries, how hard it is to maintain those boundaries. whether you can be friends with your in-laws. I mean, we're super blessed that we can be friends. There have been times when we have had to have the hard conversations with them.
Over different things. Yes.
Over different things. But in overall, yeah, we understand that there's going to be situations where the parent or the family member is just not willing to budge on what they believe is their right to treat you, talk to you, that kind of thing.
Right. And that gets to, one of those Twitter things that people always talk about where they say, it comes up every 6 months or so. Somebody will post that says, if your father and your husband get into an argument.
Oh, right. Who do you side?
And your husband says, come on, let's go. And your father says, sit down. Who do you listen to? And the answer is simple to me.
Right. It's so simple to me. Why am I still listening to my father if I'm a married woman? Why should my father ever be able to be like, sit down, you ain't going nowhere? Please. I'm making a life with this man.
But so I think it's got a little more gray than that. But it depends on the circumstance and what's going on. And I don't mean that. I mean, there are things that trump that. If your husband is not treating you well and being abusive towards you, then
you're going to want your family to protect you.
You need those things from your father. That's why I say it's a little bit more gray.
Sure.
So the scenario, the way it's laid out, the assumption is that none of those things are going on.
Everything is fine with you and the spouse. You just are caught.
It's just an argument between your father and and in that case, you side with your spouse. It makes perfect sense.
Yes.
And I think that men have more trouble with that scenario when it's their wife and their mothers.
Oh, yeah.
They have significantly more difficulty in navigating that. That's a really much tougher conversation.
Relationship can be
so
wild.
And since I got a pair,
I'm just so thankful. I could not be more thankful that I have the pair that you have, the pair that you brought to the table are who they are, because you know me, I would just be like,
you say nothing.
You can go over there whenever you want. You can even take the kids, but they won't see me.
Right.
They will not see me. Tell them I said Merry Christmas, whatever. I might write my name on the gift from Yolanda, but that's the extent. So, I mean, the fact that your mom could move in with us, and basically I spend 5 days a week with her.
You spend more time with her than I do, which is always
to your detriment.
To my detriment. I get issue for that, but that's a different story altogether.
But yes, I work from home and I work in her space, where the part of the house that she lives in. I go there to work. So we shoot the Willy Bobo and we kick it all the time. But I mean, we have a completely separate relationship from you, from you, I guess is the best way to say it.
That's exactly.
And we can shop together. We can just kick it and gossip together, spill the tea or whatever. Yeah. So it's super easy with her. We both have the same love language of words of affirmation, so we know how to treat each other. We know how to say the right things to each other.
All to my
We
detriment.
could talk about you.
All to my detriment.
I know,
this all works against me, so...
We can talk about you. And the wonderful thing is that you have come to her about me and I have come to her about you. And she never says to the other person, yeah, Clarence told me you XYZ. If I bring it up, if we have an argument and you have already brought it up to her and then I come to bring it up to her, you would think she had never heard any of it before.
And I think that is... if I was going to say a fourth thing, but I said I think I made it the first thing, which was just respect.
Right.
she respects it. The relationship. She respects you as my wife,
yes,
and as an adult. So yes, those are the things that she respects, and I think all of them have that level of respect, which makes the interactions very good.
Yeah,
an autonomous adult, my spouse, and the relationship as a whole.
Yeah. So this is a message for parents of adult children,
right?
That you gotta cut those strings of, I should have some say in my child's every aspect of my child's life, even as they grow up and they're adults. Let your kids come to you and ask you for advice.
Right.
Don't think you got to go running to them, giving them a piece of your mind or telling them what they should do. And respect their decisions. You can say, I disagree, or, I don't really think this is the right woman for you or man for you. And unless it's a matter of safety, and then, step back.
Yeah.
Step back.
There's some nuance in there, but yes, I agree.
Always nuance.
Yes.
And I'm trying not to do a whole bunch of classifying, which is what I typically do, because I could classify in a bunch of different ways. Obviously, you want to protect your children from either dangerous situations or, somebody's a gambler or an abuser or a, cheater, got 8 kids outside the marriage, those kind of things. But,
But even at all of those things being true, you still...
And the bottom line
you got to let that person make the decisions because they are an adult. You can say to them, you can offer your advice, you can offer your opinion, but the decision has to be theirs, and you just have to be supportive of helping them figure some of those things out, whatever those things are.
Yeah.
So, I'll sum it up with this, that you have to love your child more than you dislike their spouse. You have to love your child more than you dislike the spouse, because you are harming your child as well when you refuse to accept their spouse. When you talk to them any old kind of way, you're hurting your child as well. Right.
So love them more than you hate the spouse.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what did you want to say before you thought I was going to sum it up?
To tell that happened recently. What happened recently with me and your mom that you were like, oh, definitely, we definitely talk about in-laws.
Oh, I don't know. That's your story to tell.
So just because we have so many in-law stories.
So many stories.
Here's another one. Just happened this week. Just over the time that Clarence's mom has lived with us, she has seen me, first thing in the morning, late at night, et cetera, et cetera. And she always loves to say, oh, you just wake up pretty. You just wake up pretty. Because usually by the time I see her, I've at least washed my face or, fluffed up my hair, whatever. And she saw me riggedy raw, I guess, just this week. I had on my robe. I had on my bonnet still. And I came downstairs to get something from her fridge. And she said, oh, you done messed up my rhythm. You don't wake up pretty every morning.
So she told me that story. And I just laughed. Just hilarious. See? Freedom
to say what's on your mind.
And know that it's not going to be
taken, it's not going to be taken any kind of way. It's all in love.
My father says those kind of things all the time. He was like, your skin looks dull.
Yes.
What?
That's one thing about your dad, is that I love him so much for the fact that you always know where you stand with him. He's never going to be that guy who just smiles and allows you to do something that he disagrees with. or that, is off in any kind of way. You always know where you stand with him. He's a very straightforward guy, but not it's not off-putting. It might be off-putting to you sometimes. I think you've been more offended by things that he said than I have.
You find it cute.
I find it so cute.
You find it cute.
I find it
so
refreshing. He just tell me that, I don't know something about the lighting and, when he's watching the stream, but your skin is looking dull, or you're gaining a little weight there. He will tell you how he feels. So he's not going to pretend.
I agree. But we love our in-laws.
Yes.
It's easy to say we love our parents, but we actually love our in-laws.
Yes, very much.
They're all good. Lily P, CCL, JR Trek, Miss Durham, Pop, Linda DB, and Grandpa, and Mr. Mo. So that's the whole list of everybody who is in our in-law circle.
Nicknames
and everything. So,
but I think that's good for today.
I think
nice light topic.
Yes.
My condolences for anybody who doesn't have a good relationship with their in-laws and doesn't get to crack up behind the scenes, because we're always cracking up together behind the scenes at our in-laws.
But you can.
Right. You can. It's not too late.
It's not too late. And we've lost a couple of parents. So, we can tell you that it's not too late to reestablish
as long as they're still
here.
Yes.
We are fortunate that the vast majority of our parents are still here. We know, people our age where their parents are no longer here.
Yeah.
So
we're blessed.
And you miss them when they're gone.
Yes.
You absolutely miss them. So
I miss Pop's laugh. I mean, you can't do it. He's a very thin guy, but the deepest belly Santa laugh. It's super easy laugh.
Yes.
That would come out of nowhere. So yeah.
And of course we miss Keith.
Yes. We
Grandpa.
do miss
Grandpa.
Yes. Elder Blakely.
Yeah. We miss Grandpa. So we hope that this is helpful for you in kind of understanding some of the things that you should do or that you can do to help you establish stronger relationships with your in-laws. And as my father-in-law would say, turn your in-laws. You don't want your in-laws to be outlaws. So this is a way to make those things happen. Oh, and I haven't said, which is they like each other.
Yes.
So
yes, we don't often get both sides of our families together, except maybe kids' birthdays and things like that. But when they do get together,
they like each other.
They really do like each other. Especially our mother and my mother and your mother that lives here.
Yeah. Yes.
So they get along swimmingly.
Yes. Famously.
There you go. That too.
Swimming. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
all right. Please make sure you join us on
Sunday nights.
On Sunday nights for Heartbeats in the Basement, 9:00. DJ C Sharp. Twitch.tv/DJ C Sharp. We will be starting a new contest next month. I've already secured. I'm not telling y'all what it's going to be yet, but I've already secured the bag. The bag.
All right.
I've already secured the bag.
Secure the bag. I hear you.
I've already secured the bag, and we'll start it in August, and then we'll go from there. But
again, we appreciate you tuning in. We hope you make it to the end of these episodes where we're making these announcements about the prizes and joining us on Sunday night. But we do appreciate you interacting with us on the various social media channels and sharing the book with your friends and family. We are always going to say thank you, because we could be sitting here speaking to no one, but we're talking to you. Thank you.
So like and subscribe, in the comments. We look forward to talking to you out there.
Yes.
So this was a kind of a railroad part about our rhythm in this area, about our in-laws. But, this is all part of what we use to create our rhythm of love. So we hope that you can use this to create yours so that you can
live by the rhythm and love by the rhythm.
Good night.
Take care.
Good afternoon.
We hope you've enjoyed another exciting episode of Rhythm of Love, the podcast, hosted by Clarence and Yalonda Lewis.
Theme song by Kendra R.
Book graphics by Rayana Denise.
More information is available at cyllentertainment.com.
Please join us on Sunday nights for our live stream on twitch.tv/DJC Sharp.